Hey everyone, in this video we're going to go over how to create time lapses in Adobe Premiere Pro. So let's go ahead and hop right in, and I have got a folder here with a bunch of JPEGs in it from like a farmer's market or something that I went to a long time ago, back when those were a thing. And we're going to just create a time lapse out of this. Now, one of the things that I want to say at the beginning is that I've got JPEGs here. I have turned these from the raw images that I took on my camera to JPEG. So if you are taking images on like a nicer DSLR or something and you take raw images, you're going to need to batch convert those into something to use them in Adobe Premiere Pro. Adobe is not going to handle raw images at all. So we want to make sure that those are JPEGs. That's really easy to do. You can look up tutorials on how to do that. So there's a few ways that we can get our images out onto our timeline. And the easiest one is just to click that first one, scroll all the way down there to your last one. I'm going to hold shift and click that last one. Remember I had clicked that first one, or I had that first one selected. And then we're going to right click over those and do new sequence from clip. Now what this is going to do is it's going to pop out all of these images. You can see as I scroll through here on my timeline that over here in the program monitor, it's showing me exactly what's going to happen or what we're going to see in that time lapse. You might notice though that this is like 42 seconds long. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. It's like 44 seconds long. And what's happened is Adobe has a predetermined set kind of length of every image that it brings into it. And we haven't adjusted that yet. So we'll get there in just a second, but there's a couple of ways that we can shorten this down to maybe the length that we want. Now, the easiest one is just to highlight all of these, and we're going to right click. And these are probably maybe like 10 frames long or 5 frames long or even 10 seconds long. But we're going to go up here to speed duration with all of those highlighted. And you can see that, yeah, each of these is 5 seconds long. So this is hours, minutes, seconds, and frames here in the speed and duration one. So we want to click in that blue. We're going to get over here, delete that 4 or whatever else you see. And then we're going to go to these first two numbers, or the last two numbers, depending on how you're reading it. And we're going to type in 0, 1. And what this means is that we are going to take all of these images from 5 seconds down to 1 frame long. And this should really cinch up our time lapse. So we also want to make sure that we have this ripple edit clicked to shift all the trailing clips over, because what's going to happen is all that empty space that we're going to create, we're taking a 5-second clip and reducing it down to 1 frame. So there's a lot of empty space. What we're going to do is all of that empty space is going to cinch over and it's going to be really short. Otherwise, we're still going to have a 45-second long time lapse. It's just going to be a lot of dead space in the middle. So make sure that that's selected. Click OK. And you can see immediately that our resulting time lapse is only like 17 seconds or something like that. So really, really fast way to do it. Now, one of the other ways that we can do this right off the bat before you even bring those into your timeline is Adobe has an actual setting that we can tell it to only have all images as 1 frame long when we bring it into Adobe Premiere Pro. So it's up here under Premiere Pro. We're going to go to Preferences, and we're going to scroll all the way down here to Timeline. We click that, and a little box should open up here for Preferences. And you can see this is going to give video transition, default duration, 30 frames, all this stuff. And here, the third one down is still image default duration, and it is 5 seconds. What we can go in here and say is we want this to be 1 frame instead, and we're going to click OK. So the main downside to doing it this second way is you need to make sure you do that before you actually import any of your footage, because if we try to do that again, it's going to all come in as 5 seconds long. So what we want to do, we could actually delete that. We're going to double click in there to import the rest of these images now. And we're going to click JPEG, import. And now all of our images are 1 frame long. So we're going to highlight all of them again, right click, and do new sequence from clip. And you're going to see that this is, again, that's like 17-second time lapse. So really, really easy to do. You just need to make sure that you do that, duration, that frame duration first before you import anything. One other way that I do want to talk about this is, let's say that we have this 17-second time lapse and we want to make it maybe a little shorter. Well, we can't reduce these images to anything shorter than a frame. That's the shortest duration of anything that we work with in video production and filmmaking. Well, what we can do is we can actually reduce the sequence that they are in to a shorter duration. So find your sequence down in your project bin and right click on it, go down to new sequence from clip again. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a new sequence with that time-lapse sequence in it. And then what we can do, again, we go through those exact same steps. We're going to right click, go down to speed duration, and we want to speed this up. So you can see that the duration is 17 seconds and 7 frames. Let's click in here and or click in the speed one. Let's say we want this to be 200%. And you can see as you type that in, the resulting duration is now 8 seconds and 23 frames. We can click OK. And now we've got this real short time lapse, much shorter than what we had previously. Really, really simple ways to create time lapses with JPEGs in Adobe Premiere Pro. Thanks for sticking around, and I will see you in the next video.